Good morning, guys. So this week we're working on taking the theory of the business model canvas and turning that into application. So the application part, clearly very important, the most important part. But if you don't understand the baseline, the foundational information, you're going to have a difficult time doing this correctly. So firstly, make sure that you understand what these terms mean. And if you don't, you can refer back to this file that was posted in the previous module. I'll post it in this one as well, which goes through every part of the canvas. The big thing that I want you guys to see is that there's an order because these things are connected. So we're going to start with our customer segments. Our customer segments can be mass markets. They can be niche, which is smaller. They can be segmented, which takes that mass market and breaks it down. So as we look at a company, we have to look at its reach. How far do its tentacles extend into the society? So, for instance, a mass marketing firm would be very akin to a consumer electronics, like Apple or an Amazon or a gardening type of place that services all types of folks. And a lot of times, guys, these companies don't start mass market. They start in a segment and then they expand and grow. Amazon's a big example of that. It began as a bookstore and it has become the most prominent online retailer. So we're going to look at our customer segment. That customer segment is going to connect to this value proposition. You can have multiple segments, but those segments have got to connect to this value proposition because if we're not delivering value, there's no way that those segments are going to deliver revenue. So very, very critical, guys, that we start here with customer segments. We attach that to value propositions, and then we work into our channels. How are we going to reach these customers? How are we going to build out the pathways for them to reach our product? And more importantly, to purchase our product. We can then work through customer relationships, and that is how do we build a customer or clientele base? How do we acquire these customers? How do we keep these customers? How do we grow them? When we say grow, that means within this ecosystem of business that we've created, we're adding in more services and more opportunities for us to create revenue streams. This right side of the canvas is focused on the customer and the value that we can bring to them. Whereas on this side of the canvas, we'll be looking more at the key activities that are needed to bring this value and how they connect, the key resources that are utilized to support these key activities so that we can then deliver the value. And finally, the partnerships over here. How can these help with our key activities or provide key resources that we ourselves do not have as a business? The two bottom parts are basically dealing with financial viability or the finances, the revenue focused on how do we bring money into the company. And let's differentiate. Revenue is the cash or the money coming into a business. Profit is that cash after we've taken away the cost of doing business or the cost structure. Now, guys, as we progress through this, if this changes, this very well could change. And then, of course, those connections draw through. And you can see here are some of the key connections in the segment and the propositions. And a segment can have more than one value proposition, by the way. You see how those segments, propositions, and revenue streams are interrelated. Very, very important. These connections continue throughout and they do not dissipate, they do not go away. This is like a web. So if I hit a part of the web here, it reverberates throughout. And it's very, very important that you realize that. So let's do a little practice. This is I actually want to move this up for you guys. This is a little canvas that we're going to do for Facebook. And guys, Facebook, as we know, is now one of the largest, if not the largest, social network in the world. It started in a different way than it is today. However, it's grown. So as we go through this, if you look to the right here, you can see different sticky notes. So all we're going to do is just move these sticky notes around. I don't care what color you use. You want to have contrast so it's not the same. And we're going to fill some stuff in. Now, when we look at customer segments, this actually has now become what we call a multi-sided platform, which means there's more than one customer segment and they're actually coming from different directions. So one might be pretty obvious to you. I'm going to throw this one in here and then I'm going to double click inside of it and I'm just going to put users. Okay. Now, when Facebook first started, it actually targeted users that were university students. Today, it's actually become very much a mass market that services users all the way from their teenage years through now to that third age, so to speak, from 60 to 80. So the segment is more mass market today than it was. And we'll look at the beginnings of Facebook when we look at what's called the lean canvas, which is used for startups. But this is where we are now. Now, what is the value proposition? I want you to think about that right now and try to drag over. Let's just do the screen right here. It's a good contrast. Now, you can make this bigger if you wish, like that. So if you want to write more, that's fine. I want you to think right now before I fill it out, just in your mind mentally. Take 10 seconds and think of some quick things that might come to your mind. All right, you're brainstorming, you're thinking about it. Here's what comes to my mind: global connectivity, uh, platform for sharing ideas, uh, place to group similar interests. So it provides a lot of these things. It's also added value to folks and it's added a marketplace, which would really come over here and kind of alter this. So this might be, the first customer segment. Now you might have another, which are um, buyers and sellers of products. Okay. And, guys, like I said, there can be multiple ones. We're really focusing on the user today. I just want you to see that that is there. Now, when it comes to building the channels out, how does this get to our customers? Well, honestly, when I think about Facebook, I think number one about their website and their app. So you have what I would say mobile apps better said. Okay. And that's the way that it really connects to its customers. It's the platform that it uses. It's what it provides. Now, Facebook, strangely enough, when it comes to customer relationships, doesn't do a lot. It's really a self-service platform, and it is generally self-taught. It's just you work through it and you begin to understand. It doesn't lead you a certain way. Now, you started to see the targeted types of ads that you see throughout social media where they take your information, they utilize your search information to target you a little bit. But truthfully, their customer relationships, it's not very personalized in the sense that they're reaching out to you. You don't have a direct connection to an associate. You're there, you're connected. The relationship is built through the other relationships that are provided through global connectivity. As for revenue, guys, I'm thinking one big source of revenue, which would be we just talk about targeting folks. What are they targeting them with? Advertising, which actually I think is probably 99% of their revenue. I'd have to actually research that to confirm. You might get royalties um, from sales in the marketplace, but outside of that, their revenue streams are somewhat limited. So it's very important that you understand that. Now, when we look at over here, we're going to look at some key activities and some key resources. Now, um, key activities, guys, are the things that we have to do well in order to move forward. So you're seeing right here the first part, the customer focused part of our canvas. Over here, we're going to deal more with the things that we have to do internally to be successful. Okay. And so some of those activities that we are going to utilize to be successful, what could they be? And I'm going to sneak over here to show you, so I'm not having to write them all. If you're a business that is in this type of industry, so what we're trying to do here is we're building up our platform. So building out platform, uh, developing algorithms, which are simple sets of rules that kind of they utilize in order to maximize the information from you. You might look into research and development, which we just say is R&D for new technologies such as VR and the Oculus. So you're looking for further marketing places. Your key resources, guys, here, they can be physical, like plant. In this case, so we could say maybe, in this case, we could do um, servers, specific coding or IT expertise. Are they going to have big brick and mortar factories and such? No, that's not part of what they do. So it's very, very important that they have a lot of intellectual type of stuff. They might have patents or copyrights to their platform, which is also something that's really critical. Guys, these key activities, they've got to be related to these. They've got to work hand in hand. So our key activities and our key value proposition are definitely connected. Our key activities and our key resources. We can't have a platform if we don't have servers. So a lot of Facebook's resources are intellectual. They're human. They're not physical resources because that's not what they need. Yes, they need servers, um, but really what they need are key partners to help them utilize all of those different things. So for their key partners, you might say uh, mobile phone makers, advertisers, um, partner websites, so on and so forth. So as you look at these key partners, they should be helping you further both your resources and your activities depending on what you need. And finally, we're going to add in cost structure. So for cost structure, guys, we have to think about what are the costs for this company? What's the price of doing business? And so I'm just going to take one of these because I don't have enough of them. I'm going to copy this if it will let me, or I'm just going to insert a text box. No big deal. Okay. And so cost structure. What is their big cost? I would say IT maintenance. Can spell it correctly. I would offer probably um, software development, cost of servers, overhead, such as the power necessary to run servers. There's definitely other costs that are involved, but they don't have a lot of brick and mortar. They don't have tremendous buildings and facilities. They're running their business. Part of their profitability comes from the fact that they work on those efficient means. Their cost doesn't really come from that. And so it's important when we're looking at a company like Facebook to realize, where it started to where it's developed. So a lot of these companies, Facebook, when it first started, guys, was targeted only to college students. It started at Harvard. There was a Facebook with folks there, and then it developed as a way for users to connect, to create friendships in a low pressure situation, and that's how it began. So its beginnings are not necessarily where it is now, where it's kind of invested in VR. It's opened itself as a marketplace. as a gathering place to all ages and all groups. It is a platform of global connectivity and communication, and therein lies the power. So right here are a couple of completed ones. This one has more of a view of both sides, the multi-sided platform, because it includes advertisers and marketers, and that's fine. I think here, if you would have added, I probably should have added the internet from looking at that, just because you can't have a website without one, but those kind of go in hand in hand. And not everybody's going to look at this model exactly the same, but you'll see a lot of similarities. And here is another one which goes through. And what I like about this is it utilizes the colors to show you the different effects or the different meanings for different customer segments. So, guys, when you're doing these, you're not going to have to do all of them. Okay, I'm going to assign you some, but I want you to be able to see how they develop and how they are created, because this snapshot of an established business will help us when we move to what's called our lean canvas, which has a couple of key changes, especially on this side when we think of a business that's just beginning. So we have to understand the qualities of successful businesses to then be able to create our own. All right, guys, this is a little review of doing a business canvas. Look forward to sharing and seeing you on Monday and Tuesday of this week.